It's the Crack House Podcast with Mike and Muskie.
Was good afternoon, everybody. Things are not looking good in Ranger Town. They're not looking good.
That was a great Mad Dog impersonation, Miguel.
They're not gonna do it.
You know, that guy he's still rocking after all these years. That guy on XM radio. Good for him.
Yeah. I didn't, you know what, man? I didn't like the way Francesa threw him under the bus a lot in that 30 for 30.
He did.
He was a rich kid. He was a rich kid. And he kept saying that about him. I grew up, in the mean streets of Long Beach. Like, relax, dude. You grew up in Long Beach.
No, absolutely. They're both weird guys. Francesa had a messed up life, though. I mean, to be honest, I don't think he grew up in a bad area, but I guess as far as Long Island's concerned, it was sketchy. But I think he came from like a broken home. His father ran out on him or something.
Oh, I thought the dad died. I always thought the father died for some reason, or died, or left and then died young, or something like that.
Father died. Something happened with the father. Fruit Loops, Mad Dog. He definitely came from a little bit of money. He was an guy. He was a Sayasik guy.
Yeah, the father was a jeweler or something.
Father was a jeweler. Yeah. He was big into tennis. And I watched that 30 for 30. It was good. I mean, listen, that was part of us growing up.
Yeah.
Whether you were a sports fan or not, on the radio, I guess growing up in the 80s and, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, Mad Dog, Francesa, Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony. Those were, if you were a New Yorker, in that time period, I mean, you probably were living on planet Mars if you didn't catch those shows, in that time period.
Yeah, all those guys. Scott Muni.
Scott Muni. Oh my God. There was another guy with a very gravelly, smoke-filled voice. He got into himself with a lot of trouble. The guy's name was Scott something or another. He was I guess he was from Buffalo. It'll come to me. He was on WFAN. He's bounced around the talk show radios. He's kind of an interesting character. He talks like, rah, 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 like very gravelly voice, like he smoked like 10 cigarettes, chain smoked cigarettes all day. It'll come to me in a couple of minutes. But I'll let off with the 94, not the 94, though, the Rangers goal song. They're not doing too well. But I'd meant to ask you, Mike, off the record, I put this on Twitter a couple weeks ago. What do you think is the greatest time period in our lifetime as a New York sports fan? I know you're not so much into sports anymore, and, I'm kind of going that way with the NFL and the NBA, but I still watch it. I mean, for us growing up in our lifetime, 69 is probably a little bit before us, but I'll give you 4 choices, and I'll pose it to the audience. 69, 86, 94 to 01, and then 2009 to 2015. And no judging.
I'll selfishly, I say 86 because I got the Mets, because it's Mets and Giants. But like greatest run, like you just said, 94 to 01. Just, I mean, the Yankees it was just in it every year. 94, you get the Rangers. So as far as a stretch, that's the best stretch. But as far as one single year, for me, like I said, being selfish is definitely 86.
I mean, I guess we're too young for 69, but I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, what was
60,
all
4? There were 4 teams, right? It was the Jets, the Mets, the Knicks, right? And one more. Let's see. And NBA won. The Knicks won. The Mets won. Football won. No hockey. So it was 3 out of the 4.
You know what, though? It seems whenever they talk about that era, the Knicks are always left out of it.
Absolutely.
No one ever talks about that. And even like the Mets kind of get like a little bit overshadowed depending on what time of year they talk about. If it's baseball season and people want to talk about 69, and boom, obviously. But the rest of the year, it's always, people want to talk about Joe Willie predicting, we're winning,
Yeah.
which is,
Hey, listen, man, I'm probably as big as a Yankee fan as they come, but has there ever been a more romanticized team in pop culture than the 69 Mets?
well, it was another one of those teams like they just, they
I mean, think
pop,
about
it's,
all the movies that reference that team,
it's
right? All the
yeah,
TV
but
series.
you got to remember 69, they're 7 years into the team,
Yeah.
7 years and they got a championship. So, what were the Marlins?
Marlins was
2000,
97. I think they started in 92 or 91 in that area, maybe 89, 89, probably
no, it
92,
wasn't
93.
92, 93.
Yeah.
So they took
90,
them 10 years. What they win? Oh,
5,
three?
6 years.
No,
They won in
yeah.
97.
Yeah, that's right. 97. The
They won
97
in
year.
97.
Leland. Jim Leland smoking cigarettes in the dugout.
I mean, it's tough for me. I mean, I'd probably go with the 94 to 01 stretch. The Rangers run right now, they're not looking good. They're down 3-2, 7-game series. But that 94 was, believe it or not, I wasn't a Ranger fan back then. I was an Islander fan, which is a story, for another episode. But my father grew up a Ranger fan. Obviously, I watched all those games in the bars and stuff. Such a magical time going back and forth between, the Knicks and the Rangers every night. And then a year and a half later, it kicked off with the Yankees and that magical run from 96 to 01. 86 was fantastic, man. I mean, I'm not a Met fans, but, I enjoyed it. My brother's a Met fan. You guys are Met fans. The city was electric. We've talked about it. 69's before our time, but
Yeah, we don't
like I
know
said,
what,
there's so much stuff.
I mean, they got the ticker tape parade and everything, but you really don't know, you don't know how the city was, how everything was
Yeah,
going.
true.
So,
And then in 2009 to 15, you got the Yankees in 09. You got the Giants in 11. You got the Rangers and the Mets making World Series and Stanley Cup appearances. They didn't win, obviously, but Mets had a nice run in 2015. And the Rangers had a nice run that year. I guess they lost to the Kings that year in the finals.
Yeah, KC was a buzzsaw. They just found a way to win every one of those games.
But
but que sera.
We've talked about sports. I let me ask you this, Mike. Have you watched any NBA or an NHL playoffs?
I watched a few the Ranger games. I watched a few. I watched last night. Yeah, they lost last night. I watched maybe 15, 20 minutes of the game. I think it's just you're playing the defending back-to-back champs. They're going to find a way to win. And that's what it is. The Rangers have had this magical run. No one expected them to get this far from what I'm hearing. So, I mean, is it going to be I'm not a huge Ranger fan. You are. A lot of our friends are. I feel bad in the sense, like, because it would have been great for the city. Like, I definitely would have watched it. But, one of the best guys I ever worked with, my boy Beige, the guy's a diehard Ranger fan. He's watched every game. He starts texting me during the games like they're going all the way. And we obviously everyone we grew up with,
right?
They're all huge Ranger fans. So, I mean, I think it would have been great for the city. And it's been, time marches on, man. It's a long time since '94.
It's almost 30 years, man.
It's getting, 19.
30 years for them. It's 50, almost 50 for the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the Knicks are going to win in our lifetime. Sad to say. I could see the Rangers winning again. I could see the Islanders winning. I wouldn't dislike the Islanders. I've kind of become less and less of a sports fan like you, to a lesser extent with the, obviously baseball. I'm still a big Yankee fan, but some of the other sports I've dropped off with. I would get behind. I think I would get behind most New York teams. That especially, if my team wasn't there. I think it would be hard for me to root for the Mets, but
well, would you root? All right, you're a Knicks fan. Would you root for the Nets in the finals?
Yeah, I would. I don't have any animosity towards the Nets. I mean, I'm obviously a Knicks fan, so I mean, if it was them, I'm rooting for the Knicks, but I don't have any animosity to the Nets. I have a couple of my buddies that are Nets fans. I don't dislike them.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if the Nets, you know.
I don't think it would move the dial though in the city, Mike. I don't think. I mean, I think there would.
No, I see. I think it would in the sense of the transplants that move here, where
Yeah,
people like pick a team, and it's like, oh, the Nets just won. All right, now I'm a Net fan. I see it too. Like these younger kids that move in from all around the country now, and not to take take anything away from the Yankees. But right now, the hot team is the Mets. Even though
absolutely.
the Yankees have a better record. The Yankees.
No, I agree with that.
I think we're going to have a Subway Series. I'll jinx it right now and say it.
I
It's
I
a
gotta be
collision
honest with you, Mike.
course right now.
I'll tell you, as a Yankee fan, I never wanted another. I sad to say, I never wanted another Subway Series in my life, and I'll tell you why. There's no upside for us. The
Yeah,
reality it is if the Mets come out and beat the Yankees, you'll never hear the end of it as a
yeah.
Yankee fan. So to me, I'd rather not see it. I went to the last one. It was actually at Game 5 when they beat them at Shea, and it was nice. I enjoyed it. It was great to be there, but I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be on the other end of it as a Yankee fan. I mean,
But
it sucks. It sucks as a Met fan that they
yeah.
lost, but you can kind of deal with it. You know, I think the Yankee fan would really be under a lot of pressure, man, if they went and lost. But I definitely see your point. I mean,
Yeah, it's a lot more Met fit. Like you
yeah,
see a lot more Met hats, jersey shirts, whatever, what have you.
yeah, you can see the worm is definitely turning. I mean, the Yankees got a great team this year. Well, I think they're overachieving, but and the Mets are great. I mean, they're doing very well. I think the difference with the Mets and the hype is they got an owner that wants to spend and who wants to win. And I don't get that feeling with Steinbrenner and his son. I mean, they have a good payroll, but they don't. Cohen Cohen reminds me of a new age Steinbrenner, a guy that is going to spend what he needs to do to win. And I think the Yankees are a little bit more efficient.
Well,
And
I
I think,
mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, now that we're sports talk radio, but
yeah,
you're absolutely right. But Steinbrenner created that blueprint of
yeah,
you want to win championships, spend money, dude. Spend money. Go out and buy. Dude, 96, he just opened up that check. He's like, hey, Wade Boggs, want to win a World Series? Come to New York.
he didn't really. I mean, they spent money, but I think they built a lot of that. I guess when he went away in the early '90s, they definitely had big payrolls, but I think it's a little bit overdone with them. They start to spend a lot, like in the early 2000s, after the dynasty was over, and I guess right before he passed away. That '09 team,
Yeah.
they spent a lot of money, but I think the Yankees spending money gets a little gets a little bit overdone. I mean, you don't hear when the Mets
Well,
really.
there was that one year. Oh, man. Was it 1 year of Clemens' salary? I think it was 1 year, like Roger Clemens' salary
Yeah,
was
99, 2000.
it
Yeah,
was
I
bigger
agree
than
with
like
that.
the Marlins payroll and
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Royals payroll. Oh, speaking of big money, did you read the article about John Elway losing $1 billion?
No, what happened, man?
I was reading this in the Post the other day. Since screw it, we're still on sports. Elway back in '98, I think it was his last season, that Super Bowl season, the
He's a
back to
tremendous
back.
businessman, by the way. I'm interested to hear what happened.
All right, he was up for contract renegotiation, I think 97 into 98 or whatever, and they offered him, I think it was 10% of the team. So like we're not going to pay you 20 something million, but we'll give you the equivalent. We'll give you like 10 or 15% of the Broncos. He said no. And the team just got sold. I didn't read the Broncos $4.5 billion.
They're up there, man.
His cut from that would have been like $990 million. So he missed out on $1 billion deal.
$1 billion. Now listen, man. The NFL is a money-making business. All sports are. I think the Yankees have reclaimed the throne for the most expensive
What are the
franchise.
Yankees worth then?
$8 billion, I think. They surpassed the Cowboys in the latest ranking. Cowboys, I think, are number 2. The Lakers are top 10.
Yeah.
The Redskins are up there. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, because I remember, what was it? Magic Johnson paid $2 billion.
Yep, the Dodgers are
for
in
the
the
Dodgers
equation now.
Yeah, Dodgers. Yeah, they got the ring. I mean, they're back in.
But it's very NFL heavy. Something came out today. I mean, while we're on sports, two stories. Number one, going back to the Rangers for a second, I saw, I guess, some kid in the Madison Square Tunnel turned around and
Oh yeah, man, dude, he cold cocked that dude, man. I saw that video. He
What's that
dropped.
guy? What's that guy getting? Is he getting like a slap on the wrist, or is he getting
He's
prosecuted?
he's
Or
probably
what's
getting locked up for assault in the third degree, which is a misdemeanor. He
so
basically got a ticket. If he has ID and he doesn't have any warrants, he
he's
went
getting
home.
released.
He went home in a couple hours. They took him into the precinct, which is a block and a half away, down to Midtown South. They put him in a cell for 2 hours, and he went home. He got a ticket to go back to court in a month, but he knocked that dude out, man.
I'm just curious to see what provoked him. Like,
Yeah, it's one of
like
those.
like
Was this guy talking shit?
I'm sure because the way the guy was walking. Listen, I'm not condoning what the guy did, but the guy behind him, he's got the Lightning shirt on. Which, let me just throw this out there as a huge sports fan for 40 plus years, going into certain stadiums with the opposite team jersey. I'm not telling you that you can't do it, but you're looking for trouble in some
Oh
circumstances.
yeah, man, you're
You know,
out of
you're a Red Sox fan. You go into the Yankee Stadium bleachers. You're asking for trouble. You go into the black hole, out in Vegas now, or previously in Oakland. You go with some jerseys out there, you get in some big shit. Dodgers, Giants, same deal. You go to a Chavez Ravine wearing a San Francisco Giant shirt. There was a story a couple years ago, I guess, where some guy got put into a coma.
yeah.
I'm not condoning any of this stuff, Mike, but use your brain. And I'm looking at that video, and the guy seemed to be like walking very smugly, and I can almost see, I don't know what happened there, but I almost surmised that the guy was talking shit behind this guy. You just don't turn around like an animal like that and just cold clock somebody with no rhyme or reason. I mean, maybe he did. Maybe the guy was drunk and he decided just to turn around and. But my guess is that guy was saying something under his breath or saying something. The guy heard him and he turned around. Again, I'm not condoning what he said, did, but there seems to be a little bit more than that.
Oh yeah, we definitely didn't. I'm sure the guy popped off some shit, man. I worked with a guy almost every year. This guy was a Cowboys fan. He would go to 4 Cowboys games a year. He would
Okay.
go to like a game in Dallas, a Giants game, at the
Meadowlands,
Meadowlands,
right? MetLife.
usually at Washington and at Philly. Those 4 places, he goes, 3 of those places, I will wear Dallas stuff. He goes, there was only one place,
Philly.
Philly. And I mean,
I
Philly's,
could have told you that.
yeah, yeah.
We went 30 years ago, man, with the fraternity. And I remember we got there early in the morning and like literally it was a 4 o'clock game. By like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, we were like in like 10 fights, man. It was just insane. And that was
Yeah.
we were with some big dudes at the time. But
Yeah, but dude, you're outnumbered like 40,000 to
what a bunch of
15.
animals, bro. Like, listen,
Throwing
Yankee
batteries on the
right. The Yankee
field,
fans
man.
aren't great either. I'll own up to that. I'll co-sign with that. But I've been to Philly. Oh, what a bunch of animals, dude.
Dude, Philly's a type of place like you can't even go, like you couldn't wear a Yankee hat or a Met hat and bring
No
your
way.
kids. They're gonna
The guy we pump up at the end of the show, right? Tommy D. He went to like the '09 World Series. He probably could tell us some stories if he's watching this. Maybe he'll comment on the section. I remember him telling some stories where they were just out of control in '09. Giving the Yankee fans a lot of shit. I've had some friends of mine who are big Met fans go down to Philly, same stuff. Just yeah, that's up there. That's up there. And I definitely agree. I think if you're a Cowboy fan, that's not a wise choice going with a Cowboy choice.
This guy, like I said, he used to do like 4 stadiums a year. He goes, I never have a problem in the other 3. Never. He goes, I won't even wear something blue. He goes, I'll just wear like a black jacket and a black snow hat. And that's it, man.
Yeah.
So,
and then I guess the other story, going back to the NFL and like the Elway story, which was pretty interesting. He's a very successful businessman, Elway. The Jack Del Rio thing, who I guess he made a comment about January 6th being a dust up, and I guess he turned around. Head coach Ron Rivera fined him for $100,000. The guy really didn't say anything outlandish, but again, it doesn't fall into the narrative of what's out there in terms of what happened on January 6th, or at least a certain perspective from what happened. And basically from what I gathered is they forced the guy to retract his statement and they fined him, which that's your prerogative. Like Big Pat says, you know what? You're a private organization. You get to make the rules and do whatever you want. And you want to stay off the radar, with the social justice people and everybody out there. But here's the deal, going back to what happened to John Gruden in the fall, I just find it funny that the Redskins or Commanders, whatever you want to call them these days, had this huge investigation. And if you go into it, Mike, from a criminal standpoint, there's all sorts of shit going on with the Redskins/Commanders. Sexual allegation, assault, pimping out the cheerleaders. They did a whole from top to bottom investigation. And the only thing that they found wrong was John Gruden and some bad emails saying the N-word and some I guess, LBGT type stuff. Fine. You want to punch the guy? That's great. But you did this deep dive on this organization, and that's the only thing that you found. And here you got a defensive coordinator making a statement about January 6th, which is within his right. But like Pat says, you're working for a corporation and, you got to kind of toe the line. You fine him $100,000. I mean, listen, the guy didn't say anything completely outrageous in the sense that he compared it to, I guess, the riots that happened in 2020, which is an opinion for a certain political perspective. I just found it odd that this franchise went out of their way to find the guy and, find him for $100,000.
Well, it's like you. I mean, listen, you hit the nail on the head. They want to be on the NFL, the Commanders.
Commanders, right?
Want to be on the right side of everything. Obviously, January 6th is not a popular opinion with a lot of people.
Sure.
So they made an example out of it. And I think what the NFL, I bet what the NFL did is they reached right out to Snyder and to River and said, listen, you need to make an example. We don't want any trouble. They went through a whole bunch
They
of
actually
shit.
told this guy to retract his statement.
Well, they went through a whole bunch
else.
of shit already with Kaepernick. The whole Kaepernick debacle. They don't want another repeat of that. They don't want kneeling. They don't want kneeling again. They don't want to lose ratings. They don't want dust ups.
I get that, Mike. But here's my deal. My deal is, what are you trying to cover with the Redskins/Commanders? My deal is this: you want to toe the line, you want to stay out of trouble, you want to stay off the radar. Great, that's fine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you were pimping out cheerleaders, bro. Your organization is a cesspool, and this is what you choose to pinpoint or find some emails from another coach who works for a different team and hang him out to drive. Again, I'm not condoning what Gruden did or said either, but come on, man, that's the only thing that you found. I mean, to me, it was like a cover-up.
Oh no, it is. It's a pick and choose of, all right, who can we make an example out of? And that's who they chose. They chose to make an example out of the NFL. Wasn't the Commanders. The NFL chose to make the example out of Gruden. That was, we saw these emails. All right, yeah, you're fired. You're done. But the Del Rio thing, I think that came directly from the NFL. That just went down the chain. Like, put a muzzle on him. We don't need this guy.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Spewing, we don't want to hear his political beliefs every week. We went, and like I said, they went through enough in the last 2 years, actually going back even a little further with Kaepernick. Going back from Kaepernick on, no one wants to hear. They went through all the BS of all of that. They don't want to do it again. Now they don't want to, because now they're looking at it as far as like the other side of it, which is the Del Rio side, the right side. They're like, they're nipping it in the bud. $100,000, you're getting fined. Shut up. Just coach. Yeah. That's your job, coach. And I think you're going to probably throughout the year, hopefully. If not, we'll call them out on that. If another political stance becomes the popular opinion of someone wanting to say something, another coach wanting to say something in another political direction, and they don't do anything about it, then if I was this guy Del Rio, if I was Jack Del Rio, who's basically made the guy's probably never had another paycheck except playing football.
Well, I guess
then maybe he's got a leg to stand on and say something.
And I would agree with that, Mike. I would also say that there are political statements made by coaches out there, specifically in the NBA with Steve Kerr and Popovich.
Well, what did Steve? All right.
And my argument for that, what you just said, is real simple. And I would agree with you. If it happens again, you should call them out. But here's the deal, and I'll tie it into the Kavanaugh thing in a moment. So this guy makes a statement on January 6th, which is not a popular opinion with a lot of people in the country, and he gets fined. The NFL and specifically the Commanders shut him down. Okay, great, fine. Your prerogative. Kerr and Popovich pop off a lot on social justice issues in the NBA, and nobody says peep to them.
But
Okay,
you're also all right. You're talking different sport.
because it's all right. And granted, it's a different sport. But my piece with them is okay. That's fine. But again, you want to just curtail one perspective from the political spectrum. Going back to the Kavanaugh thing, right? So some wacko from California travels 3,000 miles to go across the country to basically assassinate this justice because the kid is suicidal and messed up. He sees two people out in front of the guy's house, and he turns himself in, and nobody says a peep about it. It gets a little bit of news, but the reality of it was, you still got the White House promoting that, hey, listen, you should protest in front of these people's houses. But my question is, what if it was somebody like, say, for example, from the right side of the political spectrum, going to like a Sotomayor's house and saying, you know what, protesting, for something like, the legalization of gay marriage or something to the effect. I can almost guarantee you that person would be labeled a domestic terrorist, and you'd see a whole different level of coverage.
She would. It would have to be if someone went to Sonia Sotomayor's house,
right?
With
for
the
whatever
right,
the issue is, the issue is on the right side.
If it was for gun rights or something like that, here's the thing: this kid is definitely a whack job.
Absolutely.
Because because the fact that he walked up and like he got there, did he have like his moment of clarity?
No, he saw two guys. He saw two armed guards in front of the judge's house.
That's what I'm saying.
And he got deterred, and he called up and he turned himself in. He said, "Listen, I'm suicidal. I've got guns. I'm here. I was here to kill Kavanaugh," and he wanted to make, I guess, a story for his messed up life. And I've been reading a lot of stuff about the gun stuff that we talked about a couple weeks as well. There's obviously a lot of emphasis on gun control, which is fine. And I'm reading more and more about maybe red flag laws and stuff that like we were mentioning a couple weeks ago, that talks about the mental illness aspect of it. Because again, you can limit the amount of guns in people's hands, and it'll probably make these things a little bit more difficult. But it just seems like you got a whole nother component that plays into it, Mike. I mean, you being law enforcement, I mean, maybe you make it a little bit easier for people to become therapists. I don't know what you do. Maybe you try to improve the family life in this country,
Well, I mean,
where a lot of these people come from broken homes,
if you got
surroundings.
If you want to buy an AR-15 and someone in your, I don't think the background check, for me, I don't think the background check should just be on the person buying the gun. If you live with 4 people and one of them is on like 4 different psych medications, I'm sorry, man. You shouldn't have a gun in the house.
I agree with you 1,000%. I think most people would.
Someone's, that's a recipe for disaster.
Like, for example, the kid in Texas, he passed the background checks. I mean, that's the reality of it. He was a legal age. And I guess the other argument is, okay, you raised the legal age to buy it. Fine. Okay. I think the New York governor has been very, proactive with that. That's fine. But on the flip side, the kid can get drafted and serve the country. So now all of a sudden,
that's the old 18. Oh, 18, I can die for my country, but I can't have a beer. I can elect the president, I can't have a beer. It's so much.
Yeah.
But then people say, if you look at the actual numbers over the years, raising the legal age to drink has reduced teen death by whatever percentage. So I'm sure there is some greater good always at work for this.
Yeah. I agree.
Listen, I've always said this too. Get rid of every gun, outlaw all guns, make it illegal where no one can get it, like drugs. You want drugs, you're going to get drugs. You want guns,
get it.
You're going to get guns. You can make a gun on a computer now. You can make these ghost guns. You can make, you get a 3D printer and you could just sit and make guns all day.
Off to politics and onto pop culture for a second. So I checked out your recommendation. I saw the first couple episodes of The Boys.
And
interesting.
Yeah, it's a great take, man. I think it's
so Mike put me onto this, in the last episode and off the air. So because it's about these group of superheroes that are a little bit on the suspect side in terms of morality. I guess the first episode leads with, this guy's girlfriend getting killed in an accident perpetrated by a superhero. And I guess at the end of one of the episodes, they end up, one of the guy who looks like a cross between Shazam and Superman ends up eye lasering the mayor of Baltimore's plane to kind of derail him into this investigation.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool stuff. I definitely I was a little bit hooked. I think it was a great call. Kudos to you, for putting me onto that. Um, I saw the Joker 2 got greenlit, and it's
Yeah.
the screenplay has been and the script have been written, and it's a French name where it basically says something to the effect of two people playing the same role. And the insinuation is that Joaquin Phoenix is going to come back, and apparently there's going to be a second Joker in the flick. So his actions are going to kind of spur this other guy to be Batman's primary rival. The other theory is that it could be also Harley Quinn. So they're talking about like Two-Face and that kind of stuff. So pretty interesting stuff. We'll get a sequel to that, which was a wildly popular show. We've talked about it. Pretty interesting stuff.
I finally saw Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was just very childish.
I wasn't a big fan, Mike. I really wasn't.
I just felt like it was very geared towards like little kids to watch, not like the average Marvel fan who's been a lot older. I don't know. I thought it was okay. You got to see all these the other characters they threw in the multiverse thing. I didn't think it was that bad. But it's just moving the stories along. That's all it is.
I caught the dinosaur thing on Apple TV. I'm sick of dinosaurs. The Jurassic Park got really bad reviews.
Yeah,
and
it got slammed.
I got to tell you, I saw this thing on Apple TV, and initially I was really intrigued by it, but dude, I fell asleep, man. It was like watching National Geographic for like freaking 4 hours straight. I just conked out watching it, completely unimpressed. I mean, the graphics were nice and stuff, but hey, listen, go out and watch the Jurassic Park movies for those out there.
Did you catch up on Obi-Wan?
I did, and I gotta be honest with you, Mike. I'm a fan, but I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard for me.
So you're all caught up.
All caught up.
Yeah, I will say episode 4, they should have just named it "The Wind Is Out of the Sails," because
It's losing my interest.
It was a very that episode 4. I thought was a very boring episode.
It's losing my interest, man. It's like I want to see more Vader. I think everybody wants to see more Vader. I want to see a rematch. I can't see Obi-Wan going out like the invalid that he was against Vader in the third episode.
All right, let me throw this then. Do you think, I mean, everyone's getting these spin-offs. Do you think Vader gets a series?
No. No way. I think they'll just do another movie. I don't think so. I think maybe you get a second season. You're going to get a little bit of emphasis on the Inquisitor, the girl. I think you're going to get a little bit more her story. I don't know if you get much more Obi-Wan, man. You got 2 episodes left. I don't know how much really more that they get, and I'm thinking that the rematch that was talked about, you got already in episode 3, which is going to be kind of deflating for me. I mean, again, I watch it. I'm a Star Wars fan. I thought it was good the first couple episodes. I really would have liked to see them a little bit more emphasis on Luke than Leia. I mean, I got enough of Leia. She's a cute little kid. She's the baby Yoda.
Yeah, she's the baby Yoda this time around. She's super, she's super cute little kid. She's a sassy little girl, and she's gonna be all the rave. What the hell was I just gonna say now? I just had something really profound.
I think you're talking like a sequel or a spinoff.
No.
I did want to mention one thing before we run out of time here. An Astoria landmark is closing, man.
Oh,
I don't know if you got around to visiting it, but for the Astoria natives out there, Pizza Palace on Ditmars Boulevard is closing after, I don't know, 40 plus years, Mike.
I think, okay, so the episode's coming out Sunday. This might have been it. I think it was this week. So if you didn't get a slice, I was going to throw on a powdered blue shirt and my a blue tie and walk in, and a gray pair of slacks and walk in and get one last slice in my
Astoria landmarks
in my Mac uniform.
For those out there, put out in the Twitter, Mike's Twitter feed, or like on the comments in the YouTube section of the episode, famous landmarks of your specific town, either on Long Island or in Queens, that you grew up with, that either is still around, you want to throw a shout out. Me and Mike maybe will, spend a little bit more time on a deep dive of that. But I can tell you, Pizza Palace, we grew up with that huge place, 40 plus years. What's next? Laguli's. pastry.
Yeah, Laguli's has been there since like that place has been there since like the 30s. Oh, I want to read this thing quick.
Go ahead.
Before we go. Oh, my buddy Richie, you can find him at the Dawn of a New Era on Instagram. Plot hole in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Listen to this. Indiana Jones has no effect on Raiders of the Lost Ark. Let's think about it for a second. If Indy wasn't in the movie, the Nazis would have kept digging randomly, found the Ark, brought it to the island, opened it, and all died like they did in the movie, no matter what. Richie, man, nice find. This is the second time someone has thrown out an Indiana Jones, like, what the F? The first one was finding out Temple of Doom's a prequel.
This guy's debunked Indy, man. Which
I know.
I think
the new one's coming out.
The new one's coming out like in a year. I mean, who knows who's going to be the lead or what have you? But
no, it's him. He's back.
It's going to be him.
Yeah.
75 years old. He's our father's age. That dude.
Yeah.
He's up
going to be a lot of CGI.
You know what? One last thing I want to throw out before we wrap things up, Mike. Did you read Julia Garner is in the lead for this Madonna biopic? I know you were talking about this off the air with me.
Yeah, they did something where they took a whole bunch of different girls of ethnicities, color, whatever you want to say, and they threw all these names out here for a Madonna movie. And now you just said she's like the lead.
She's the lead one. But you said something to me where like they have like
I didn't
Spanish
look it up.
Chicks and African American chicks.
Yeah, like I said, I think they went like 3 or 4 different names they had. Like I said, it was all different ethnicities and colors and whatever you want to say.
My question is, how can you take a historical figure like that, or like a famous figure like that, and change their ethnicity? I don't get that. I mean, it's gonna be like a fictional portrayal of her, or is it gonna be actually Madonna? I gotta imagine if it's Madonna, it's got to be Julia Garner, or somebody that actually looks like the girl.
Yeah, Julia, that she does. Like looking at her now, she does actually look like her. So
a little bit. I mean, if you take an African American woman or a Spanish woman, I don't know. Maybe a Spanish woman could kind of pull it off, but you're changing really. I don't know, man. I found that wacky when you mentioned that to me off air, but
hey, we made Jesus white, so who cares?
Yeah, that's true. A Middle Eastern guy. I love Jesus very, very much, but Jesus not helped me hitting the curveball. And
that's true.
I'll leave you all with this. It's very, very bad to drink Joe Boo's rum.
Exactly.
Those Major League fans out there on the sports little tangent. We'll wrap it up, Mike. I think we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. www.djchrisclash.com. Check me out. I'm booked in June, the rest of June and July now. But send me a message. Hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, cell phone, Facebook Messenger. I'll be there. Celtic Monkey, Mike Power, North Carolina, Wilmington. Jay Cristiano, 844-442-7334. Cardinal Financial, promo code 4215. Tommy D's 5-Star Shopping by Tommy, 917-559-8264. Take it away, Mike.
All right. You can catch me actually right now when this show's out. I'll be at Broadway, the 9 o'clock, the 11 o'clock show. Thursday the 16th, I'll be at Broadway, 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And 27th, same thing, Broadway, 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Go to BroadwayComedyClub.com for tickets. And check out Jack at I Can Paint and Pat Dixon, New York City Crime Report, and on Compound Media and the Locals Network. Other than that, we will see you when we see you.
Let's go Rangers. Peace out, everybody.
Hopefully the Rangers win it. Later.